Welcome, 8th grade. This is a tutorial on how to use Autodesk Tinkercad. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to obviously type in the tinkercad.com. It'll bring you to a login area where you'll have to log in with Google, and you'll be logging in with your Ramsey account information. You do not have to actually join a class of mine. All you're going to do is create. So the creation button is right here. It says create. You're going to click the create button. And in this class, we're going to be doing 3D design. And what that will do is it'll open up a new workspace for you. In this workspace, there's some things that we're going to talk about before we get into the design. First thing is first, we're going to change our name. And what you'll do is you'll put your last name and then whatever project you're doing, whether it's for the robot or for golf or speedball. And then whatever class you're in, I'm going to put 8B because I already have an 8A somewhere. And so that's what you need to do. But whatever the 8 is on your box is what you're going to be putting in that space. So if you're 8C or 8D, you want to put that down so that I can lump all of you together in a specific class so I know who to print for. Now, this is our work plane. To navigate through the work plane, you can move it around with, if you have a mouse or something, you can move it around with the mouse by right-clicking and moving it, or you can just move it around with this guy right here. And if you ever get lost, you're spinning around, just click the home key, and it'll bring you right back to the square that you started. And there's more things there. We can zoom in, we can zoom out, we can, zoom in on a corner, but this guy here will fit into a view. That means if I drag an item in and then I click onto that, it'll bring me to that item. It's very simple on how this stuff works. And if you delete that item and now you're stuck in this corner, just hit the home key and it'll bring you right back to the square one again. Now, before we begin to create, we have to change a couple settings. First thing, the setting here, we're going to change to inches. We're going to make sure that it says inches. Yours will say millimeters. I've already changed mine to inches. That's my default. And don't have to make it your default. If you're in another class, like if you're in enrichment or you're in computer design, you do not need to make this your default. They'll use millimeters in there. The metric system is pretty big outside of engineering. So make the default inches if you are in only my class, and then close the settings, and then snap grid, which is always set to 1/8 or whatever millimeters it is. In this case, we're going to go to 1/32 of an inch. Now, when it comes to designing, it's pretty easy to understand. You can create your own designs, and I expect that you do create your own designs. The best thing that you can do in this case is just start to figure out what works for you. Now I'm going to fit that square into this grid space. And what you'll see is it says 1, 1. If you click onto these little white squares, it'll stick into those locations. That tells you it's 1 inch by 1 inch. If you want to change those, there's two ways to change it. One is to click on and drag one of these black squares and pull it until it gets to a measurement that you like. Or the other would be you click onto these white squares, then you click onto the square you want to change and you put it in whatever measurement you want. So let's say you want to go 4 inches, and it will change that. It's pretty basic. You can change the width by sliding this in, and you know what? While we're in that, let me just show you something. If you take a look at the one that will be at the bottom there, as I slide it in, it gives me decimal points until it gets to an actual measurement that you would understand. So like the fraction of 3/4 of an inch or 7/8 of an inch, it locks in on that just to let you know, but everything else will be a decimal point. So you can click into those things all you want, or just like before, you click onto the white, you click onto this one, and you can change whatever measurement you want, and it will make that measurement. The other part of this is that you can also increase the height. It is 1 inch right now. You can bring it up. You can bring it down, whatever you need. You can also increase how high or low this sits. You can bring it all the way up. You can bring it all the way down. The thing is that if you bring it below the surface, which is what it is right now, when you print it, it will automatically set it to 0. So that's not always a good idea. to bring it below the surface. Now, to create holes, let's say you want to create a hole inside this. There are two ways to do that. One, you can actually bring one of these two shapes that is selected as a hole, and you can bring that in. And I'm just going to put this one right over the top of it. And that would then divide this thing right in half. So if I click onto everything, and I'll just click and drag so it selects everything, and then I click this part right up here to group it. And when you group it, you can see it cuts the thing in half. Let's say I don't want to do that, and I just want to put a hole in here. Well, I can go into this. I can change my measurements. We'll go 1/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch. And then slide that hole into my project. Now, if I select them all and I group it, it makes the hole inside the project. So, just kind of mess around with what you have. I suggest not choosing shapes and thinking that you can utilize this shape. It kind of gives you some ideas and what you can do and how you can create certain things. But the reality of this is that, and I just want to finish my sketch because it's trying to draw something and I don't want to draw. It doesn't really help you for my class. Really defining what you need first and then designing it freehand here is probably your best option. But you could always create any shape you want. You need a curve, you click them, and there's your curve. You can also click a regular shape. And let's say you want to just chop that corner off. With that regular shape, you can change one of the solids to a hole. And again, it does the same thing. You just group it. If you don't like your design, you can ungroup everything. And eventually, it just pulls everything apart. And you can start right back from square one. But I suggest creating your shapes is like your best option. You can go down to designer starters, structures, vehicles. Like, I don't know if any of this stuff is really great for you, but you can easily generate shapes if you want to. So you can come up with your own if you'd like. Now, if you're wondering how to attach whatever you've made to your attachments that you actually have here in class, it's pretty simple. When you have your design, you are going to export that design and just click the STL file. Remember that as long as you have this saved as your name, I will see it in the file. And then you'll go to your email and you will email me that, you'll just basically find the file, you'll attach it to your email, you send me the email. And then what I'll do is I then attach another file to your attachment right here. And when we embed this design into your attachment, these will connect with the Tetrix pieces that you use in my class. It's really simple on how to do this, but the only thing I can say to you is do the best that you can in creating a shape that works for you. Designing a piece that we do not already have in this class is in your best interest. Whatever it's going to take to make picking up a ball if you're in golf, or taking the ball off the tower and transitioning the ball from the tower to your transporter, whatever it is that you're making, make it for the good use that makes it easier to control for your team. But mess around and then export your design and send it to me, and we will discuss it. Good luck.